Hello, friends, benders and non-benders alike. Welcome to Braving the Elements, Nickelodeon's podcast about all things Avatarverse. I'm Janet Varney.
And I'm Dante Bosco. And Varney, now the countdown really begins. We're here, the 4 episodes of the Sozin's Comet.
I can't believe it. I
know.
I'll tell you, we're so close to the series finale, but I'm also finding myself immediately wondering, like, when am I going to just turn around and watch the entire series again for the millionth time?
I know, I hear you. No, but I hear you, but we have to be on our way to the next scene because I can't wait to watch Legend of Korra. We have to get
We're
there.
Gonna jump into Korra.
Plus, we have an animated movie coming out.
Yes.
Plus, who knows other things that they're doing over there at Avatar Studios.
Yeah. We're going to be there to talk about all of it. I mean, look at us. We're already getting excited about the future. I also do think we are getting excited about the future partly to keep us from feeling sad about getting to the end of this Avatar series.
Yes, but it's not over yet, Varney. We have some very big episodes to get into the next couple of weeks, including Sozin Comets Parts 1 and 2.
Yeah, we're talking about the Phoenix King and the Old Masters, but we are not doing it alone. And I'm so happy that we finally get to our friend for the first time in season 3 of Braving the Elements.
know.
Some might say we've been saving the best for last.
I know. I can't believe we did this to ourselves.
Waiting a whole season, basically,
we missed her,
before
but
we had her?
I know. We missed her, but luckily she's here with us now, and she's here with us even though she's across the pond. And well, everyone, please welcome back our dear friend, Ivana Lynch.
Oh, guys, I'm about to cry. That was so sweet. This is my favorite podcast to guest on. I'm so honored. And this episode is everything. Every time I watch it, I'm like, I've got to write down all these quotes. There's so much wisdom. So thank you so much for having me back. And
Our pleasure. I mean, I really did
such a joy.
In looking, I mean, obviously, it's a foregone conclusion that we're going to have you. And I really did, because it took so long for us to get into this studio to get season 3 up and running, between the last time that we recorded with you and getting through this much of the season, I was like, I regret this deeply. I wish that we had Eddie V earlier.
But it works
this
out
feels
perfectly.
Weird.
It works out perfectly.
But these are big. These were big episodes. So we needed to bring in the big guns, so to speak.
It's nice, and it's just nice to have it look forward to throughout my life. To go, there's still another Avatar episode to go.
Well, you better brush up on your Korra. That's all I can say, my friend.
It's so good. And how have you been? It's great to see you, even via camera across the pond over there in London.
Oh, I know. It's great to see you guys too. Yeah, I'm good. I don't think much has changed since I saw you last. I was writing then. I'm still writing now.
Beautiful.
Probably on the same book, but slightly more progress. So,
amazing.
She's always got wonderful stuff going on.
It's great. And I don't know people that have not listened to the first season or understand that me and Evie met at a Comic-Con, and we met through our shared fandom of each other's stuff. I'm a big Harry Potter head. I did not know when I sent my helper out from a con to go get pictures signed for me and my assistant at the time. They came back and it's like, oh, Evie's a big Avatar fan.
Yeah.
And so
oh my God.
It's just, we ended up having dinner with friends and we kind of geeked out on each other's stuff. And so it was so wonderful.
It was so exciting because the thing, I don't know, I'm sure some of your listeners probably go to Comic-Cons, to conventions.
Yes.
But,
sure.
Any of the actors who get involved in things, there's a strong core of nerd in you, and
yes.
Right.
and yes, you're there professionally, you're there to work, but you're also like, oh my God, I love that person, and that thing of sending assistants over, that's a thing. But also with you guys, with the voiceover actors, you're not instantly recognizable. So
right.
Yeah, I think I remember the time I was with my friend Robbie.
Robbie, yes.
And we'd figured out who you were, and we were like, oh, how do we talk to him? What do we do? And then your assistant kind of made it all happen.
And then I remember we were having dinner, and then I'm like, I'm a Gryffindor. I have a scarf. I have a Gryffindor scarf. And Evie was like, I'm a firebender. Robbie's air. Right? Robbie's air nomad. And she goes, and I painted a picture of us. I said, what?
The best story.
She's like,
That's
I
the best
painted.
story.
They show me a picture. I'm like,
Oh no.
You painted a picture of yourself?
It's a painting. It's a
painting. It was a painting.
Yeah,
It's
it was
subtle
fan
fun.
art. It's fan art.
It was fan art of yourself as a firebender.
Yeah.
Robbie was an air nomad, and I said, I have a Gryffindor scarf.
Again, what I'm bringing to the table, I did not make with my own hands.
I did not, yeah.
I bought it, and that is the limit of my fandom.
It's
and
the
then you're
limit of
looking
my
at a beautiful
fandom,
portrait.
And you think, you either know I'm a Gryffindor or you think I went to USC. It
That's
could be
right.
either
That
or.
does happen. Yeah. Yeah. That particular university has those same colors. Well, we are so happy to have you. We're so happy. That does take the sting out of the fact that we're getting towards the end, very close to the end of this series. We are going to be covering these 2 episodes that we just mentioned. But before we do that, we should definitely talk about the last Avatar episode just to bring everyone up to speed. It's been a minute. If you need a refresher on the episode that came right before this one.
The last episode, of course, was Ember Island Players.
One of the all-time greatest episodes,
Do you like that episode,
arguably.
Evie?
Now hold on. This is the episode where we meet the
the
theater
play.
troupe.
Mhm.
Yeah, the theater
Yes.
troupe.
Do I like this episode?
Oh.
It's
From a comedy perspective, it's one of my all-time favorite episodes.
I think it's a great recap, but also we're actors, so we can see some act. We're like, come on, you really gonna put us out there as actors like that? Like, we're, you know.
But it's funny, isn't it? Because it kind of shows how like actors were back in the day. The whole thing of the traveling troupe, and they play different parts, and they're not all playing to their casting bracket even. I think
Totally.
I like it.
You put that so delicately. I love it. They're not necessarily perfectly
Well
cast
cast.
for their...
No, I'd like to think
Yeah.
of us back in the day as actors, but would we be those actors traveling in the traveling
Boy,
troupe?
that's a good question.
Would you be that kind of actor?
I don't know. I mean, the only thing I can imagine traveling for would be like, maybe like just a really, really great play that you believe in so strongly that you don't mind waking up in a town and being like, where am I? That seems hard. That
But in
seems like
those,
hard
did you think you probably leave doing one play and then like a few weeks, a few months, and like, hey, I don't want to do that play anymore.
I'm tired of this.
I have another play for the next town.
Yeah.
Okay, why not? Let's do it. Who cares?
Yeah.
They don't care. They don't have TV.
That's right.
So
this is it.
if we're gonna come out there and act for them, someone's gonna show up.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. I also love the episode because exactly what you were talking about, Evie, about when we go to cons and we get to fan out on each other. I like that the show brought in, not only did they have fun casting actors who play other roles on a regular basis in the show, like having Gray Delisle play Katara, but also bringing in people like John DiMaggio and Scott Menville.
Great
and,
actors.
And Tara Strong and stuff like that. So that's a very, I love it from a meta perspective.
Right.
It's a very fun, meta, clever perspective.
But even talking about cons, they had fans in the show, fans of Aang, fans of
That's right,
like,
cosplaying.
Cosplaying.
There's an Aang cosplayer in that episode,
right.
who's a little boy and looks a lot like a young version of Aang. And then they had Zach Tyler Eisen voice the little boy who's cosplaying Aang. So there's a lot of layers going on there. A lot of meta layers.
With this world, though, the fact that they're that famous that everyone knows, like their costumes, their story,
Right.
like how is the communication passed on? Because there's no technology in the Avatar world.
Well,
Is
they had a special reporter.
Mm-hmm.
That there
But
was
like a playwright
a
that
playwright that somehow interviewed
traveled.
all around.
Yeah.
I actually want to do a side. I'm gonna pitch this to Mike and Brian. Can I do a like a side project just about that guy?
I know. He did the same trek as Team Avatar. We know how hard that was.
He's like,
that's an intense
what's that guy Burns
journey.
He's like the
Ken Burns.
Ken Burns of the Avatar verse.
That's right.
And we'll just do a
Documentarian.
special, documentary on the Ken Burns who did this play. Like, this guy's amazing.
Yeah.
He's great.
Yeah. But also we know that sometimes people might find out how people look like through wanted posters. I feel like
True.
that's a consistent through line, right? Where you see like, this is what we think Toph looks like. This is what we think Aang looks
Right.
like. You might see a picture of him and go, well, we know he's an air nomad. So it's probably safe to assume that he will have the arrow tattoo and be wearing monk's clothes.
Right. Plus the oddity of like going to a play where they're talking about you. I mean, the characters. It's very
That sounds extremely hard.
I know.
I don't need to see my life's choices. And that's how it feels so emotional for Zuko and Aang
very
in that
strange.
episode, because they feel like all they're seeing is their worst mistakes being played for laughs, on stage. It's very emotional.
I have been at a Comic-Con and I met some people that are fans or follow my career for years, and they've done reports on my career and myself for like Asian American studies class or pop culture. I was like, what?
Well, you wrote a book, so that makes
Well, I
it
did
even
write a
easier
book
because somebody
but
can read
someone
that
else. You're like, well, I'd like
autobiography.
to read that paper.
Yeah. I'll give you my own
What did
personal
you
grade.
think?
on
What
that
did you think
paper.
I thought I was doing?
Yeah. It's hilarious.
I probably wasn't doing that.
Well, let's move on from Ember Island players then. Today we're going to be covering Sozin's Comet, parts 1 and 2. As we mentioned, that means we're going to be covering a lot of territory, revelations about Ozai's upcoming plans, mysterious islands, old friends, family reunions, and so much more. Part 1, The Phoenix King, was written by Mike DiMartino and directed by Ethan Spalding. And I think we should get into what happens. Should we dive in?
Let's jump
Got a
right
lot
in.
to cover.
Okay, we start the episode back at Ozai's Ember Island house for more firebending training with Aang and Zuko. Zuko's pushing Aang, trying to get him into the Fire Lord fighting shape, but the rest of the gang is more interested in having a beach party. Katara does some surfing while Aang, Toph, and Sokka work on sand sculptures. I mean, Zuko's not happy. I was not feeling it. I was like,
No.
you guys, we're about to go. What are you guys doing?
I also was not feeling
Are
it.
you guys
I'm like,
serious
what are you guys
right
doing?
now? I didn't know what they were doing. So Zuko's like, he's going to teach Aang whether he likes it or not. And he chases Aang a little. It's a little bit.
He goes hard.
He goes super hard. He's blasting fire at him. Aang's like, finally defends himself. But Zuko can't believe no one is taking seriously that Sozin's Comet is coming in 3 days. It's only 3 days away.
That's nothing. That's a blink of an eye.
I know. It's like, we're going to have the fight of our lives in 3. Are you guys,
Yeah.
what are you guys doing? But along with Zuko, we hear for the first time that apparently everyone decided that Aang just isn't ready. So the whole prophecy destiny stop Ozai thing is kind of out the window.
Yeah.
Which, I mean,
But
at
not
first,
for good. Like, they're still gonna get him. That's
Well,
why I totally
afterwards-
get Zuko being like,
Right.
enough with the tropical juice and chilling around.
I thought that, but when they said that too, I was like, oh yeah, why can't they just wait? I would just wait too. I also would just wait.
Right.
Because why just wait? You know what I'm saying? But to Katara's point, how could things get any worse? But then Zuko drops
He's
the
like,
news.
oh, guess what?
Hold up, on the whole waiting thing, and then we see a flashback of the day before the eclipse when Zuko attends a war meeting and inadvertently gives Ozai and Azula the idea to destroy the hope of the Earth Kingdom so the last rebellions will fail.
When the comet last came, my grandfather, Fire Lord Sozin, used it to wipe out the air nomads. Now, I will use its power to end the Earth Kingdom. Permanently. From our airships, we will rain fire over their lands. A fire that will destroy everything. And out of the ashes, a new world will be born. A world in which all the lands are Fire Nation. And I am the supreme ruler of everything.
And I have to say, I mean, I really
Why?
feel
That's
so
rough,
bad.
buddy.
I
It's
know.
so horrible.
I know. And you know, Zuko feels bad that he didn't speak up, and it's like, well, that wouldn't have changed anything. So
I
don't
know.
beat yourself up about that. There's plenty you can beat yourself
No,
up
I was
about
like,
from past
I was like,
actions.
hey, we took out all the air nomads, and then they were like, well, then let's take out all the Earth Kingdom.
And what Zuko says is this tremendous compliment. So he's kind of in his space, in his mind. I'm sure he's thinking back to his own experience when he was happy at the tea shop, and there he is. I mean, he has had this very profound experience living in Ba Sing Se. So he says this kind of wonderful tribute to the Earth Kingdom, you know,
Right.
citizens, saying like they're very proud, they're not going to give up easily.
Right.
And then, of course, Ozai and Azula are like, kill all of their hope, eh? Great idea. And you know, you're like, wait, no, I take it back. That's not what I.
But they had already taken out the air nomads, right? So then the whole world would just be fire and water.
I guess so.
I thought, I was like, well, then the whole world's just gonna be fire and water.
Doesn't seem to bother. Ozai.
Well, it's like that band Earth, Wind, and Fire. Maybe they
just decided
they
that
took out the water and Earth, Wind, and Fire. Like, we're just Earth, Wind, and Fire.
they don't want wind either.
The wind, Earth, Wind, and yeah.
They just want fire.
They just want fire and water, and like fire is
Yeah.
gonna be the dominant, and water is just gonna be our slaves.
Ugh, terrible. But let's do a quick shout out too, because again, we have so much to talk about, but I do want to shout out those sand sculptures. That
Okay.
Appa was wonderful.
Pretty good.
The Ba Sing Se that
Incredible,
Toph makes
incredible, very detailed.
has the Earth King and Bosco. I mean,
and Bosco Bear.
to be able to conjure something like that at
I
the snap of your
mean,
fingers.
She's the goat.
And then
She's
we
an
have-
artist.
She's a true artist.
She's a true artist.
Yeah.
And then we have a beautiful rendition in sand of Suki.
Not good at all. Not good at all.
Like
I thought
a
it was
melting
Appa.
sea blob
I
monster.
thought it was like Jabba the Hutt.
Fair. That's fair. It looks Jabba-esque.
You cannot make a sculpture
Yeah.
of your girlfriend and make it look like Jabba the Hutt.
No, but you know what? Suki's fine with it.
Suki's a keeper.
And I have to
That
say,
moment was very sweet, where she just accepts it and loves him for who he is and his self-expression.
yeah, that's classic Sokka. And I
She's
will say
great.
too, Zuko just destroyed all of those sand sculptures get destroyed in a moment. At least Aang and
Right.
Toph did not take long to build those extraordinary things. You know that they could build them right,
Right,
away
right,
again.
right.
I feel the worst for Sokka because he did spend a whole lot of you'd have to, if you've ever built a sandcastle, if you're going to build a big pile of sand that large and do all that work on it, he's the one who worked the hardest. So yes, it was the
Yeah.
ugliest, but it also took the longest, and Zuko just makes sure it gets blown away
It's
right
made
away.
with so much love.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
That's a good point. But they're playing too much. They
No,
they gotta train more.
They definitely, and we weren't in on this decision, right? Like usually we're not on the outside of a
Right.
decision that Team Avatar
Why
makes.
is nobody telling Zuko nothing?
So yeah, the fact that we're with Zuko, he's sort of the audience proxy where we're like, why are you guys just hanging out at the beach, right?
Right. But even if you wait till after, you still should be training.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree.
I always knew the Fire Lord was a bad guy, but his plan is just pure evil.
I know what everybody's thinking. I'm just going to say it. Ozai seems like a really fun, neat guy.
I
Just a
don't know.
neat,
I don't know what
neat
he's doing.
guy. So this piece of information that Zuko gives to the group certainly has the effect I think you would want if you're Zuko. It certainly alarms Team Avatar. They're also feeling maybe a little devastated about it. Aang is absolutely freaking out because he's already feeling this tremendous pressure, and here he is thought that he had kind of given himself or been given this out where it's like, well, you're not prepared, but the good news is now you don't have to face that head on in quite the same way
Right.
because we've all decided that it's okay for you to wait. And in fact, now we know, no, that's not going to work. But I will say they are not down for long. They recover, they snap back quickly, and do the thing they do best, which is lift each other up by the rest of the gang saying, hey, you know what? All right, so we got to do this. Let's deal with that reality.
Right.
Let's not be in denial about it. And we're going to do it together as a team. Aang, you are not alone.
Right.
Because that's one of the things that is hardest for Aang, right? Is that they've learned by all of these adventures and experiences together that I think the place where Aang is his most vulnerable is when he feels entirely responsible for the future of the world, right, Evie?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So they say, you're not alone. And then, we have this great moment from Sokka that's like, we have air, water, earth, fire, fan, and sword.
Exactly.
Fair play. They're both fantastic warriors. It's played for comedy.
Very true.
But having Suki and her fans and having Sokka and his sword, that does make a difference. So we played it for laughs. I'm going to go ahead and say, you be proud of that fan and
It's
sword.
important. It's important.
Those are huge. Those are huge. And then they have a great group hug. Never going to be mad at a group hug. Back at firebending training, we have Zuko teaching Aang how to redirect lightning, which is, we realize, like, oh yeah, this is this whole journey that we were on with Zuko.
Right.
Aang doesn't know about redirecting lighting.
Right.
Redirecting lightning. He might know about redirecting lighting.
Lighting,
He might be a great lighting designer.
Very good. Just move that C stand
yeah.
over here, and then we're good.
Yeah. So Zuko is teaching Aang how to do this redirection. They have kind of a conversation about it. And part of that conversation is, just to make sure we're all on the same page, like, you will be killing Ozai.
Right.
Like, you're going to need to kill him. He's going to need to die before you get killed by Ozai. This is the stakes we're talking about.
And
This
he's
is the
talking
level
about,
we're talking about.
and he's talking about his dad.
And he's talking about his own dad.
He's talking about his dad, and he said, and I redirected his lightning, and it
Yeah.
felt good.
Yeah.
Felt real good.
That's scary.
Scary.
But
Felt
good.
like I had too much energy, more
Yeah.
energy I've ever felt in my life.
Yeah.
I can get drunk on that energy.
And we're talking about your dad.
And then you gotta go kill my dad.
He knows. This is part of Zuko's whole journey, is that by the time he tells that to Aang, he seems like he's come to a place where he understands in his mind that is the only option.
Yeah. Well, I mean, your
But that's
dad.
not how Aang necessarily
I mean,
feels.
Ozai's taken out. He already took out all the. He genocided one of the 4 factions of the world.
Yeah.
Wants to do another.
You've been up close. Zuko has been up close and personal. So if anyone knows the power there and knows what may have to happen
And
for
Azula
the
just
Earth
loves
to survive.
it. Azula's just like,
she
yeah, Dad,
gobbles it
yeah,
up.
Daddy, yeah, let's do
Yeah.
that.
let's kill their hope.
Oh my
Blah.
goodness.
So they
Ooh,
need
that was a good impression.
I like to try to pull that out and do my best scary as well.
It's
I'm no great
great.
Jalal, but so they got to come up with a plan. Of course, Sokka is very often the man with a plan. He does a great job on this. Even better, it is one that involves a melon lord.
Melon Lord.
And Toph is good. They're gonna as they're practicing getting ready. Toph's tasked with like, well, just make this as realistic as you can.
Oh, she was into
and
it.
Toph's like, very happy to oblige. I'm very happy to oblige. She's enjoying her job, maybe a little too much. She's hurling flaming boulders at them for practice.
Watch it, Toph!
I am not Toph. I am Melon Lord.
And the training plan does seem to go great until it's time for Aang to destroy the Melon Lord.
Right.
And he can't do it. And it's a melon. You guys, it's a melon. And he can't do it because he knows what that will mean. Even busting up this melon, what it represents and what it will say about him and who he feels he is at his core.
Right.
It just doesn't feel right, even if it's Fire Lord Ozai. And this is potentially a real problem.
Yeah, this is like his biggest obstacle at this moment, isn't it?
Right.
That he doesn't actually know what he's gonna do, and nobody's telling him, and everyone's telling him the opposite. But there's something like a deep, deep feeling inside him that's like, I can't do that.
Yeah.
And yeah, big problem.
Also, shout out to all you Melon Lord cosplayers out there.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen a handful of them over the years. Some really good stuff.
Oh, yeah. And I know Michaela gets asked to write I Am Melon Lord
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
on
And let's
autographs.
be
There's
honest,
no question about
Toph
it.
was really enjoying.
Oh, Toph was loving it.
She'd be a treacherous Fire Lord. She was into it.
Good point.
She's got a
Wow.
Good thing
she's a
she's on our
rapscallion.
side. Good
That's
thing
right.
she's on our side.
That's right.
So that night, Aang continues to wrestle with the idea of having to end Ozai's life, and everyone else is kind of like, "What's the big deal? He's a really bad guy. Just go through with it."
Yeah.
But it's a bit more complicated than that for Aang because he's an air nomad, he's a pacifist, he's a vegetarian for frick's sake.
Yeah.
He needs to work through this conflict on his own for a while. So, and that's kind of like the Avatar thing, isn't it? That like nobody can do this work for you. You're the only one with that connection to all of the elements.
Yeah.
So after trying to meditate, Aang falls into a troubled sleep, but he wakes in the middle of the night and swims to an island that seems to have mysteriously appeared in the ocean. Next morning, there's no sign of the island or Aang, and the rest of the gang searches for the house for him, but all they can find are his footprints leading out into the water, which was a bit of a scary moment.
Mm-hmm.
It is now time for a bigger search of the whole island, which gives Toph a chance to have her own adventure with Zuko, which is really cute, by the way.
She jumps and grabs his arm so fast.
I know. It's not.
It's very sweet.
Zuko doesn't have a lot of time for adventure right now with
Yeah.
you, Toph.
Yeah, he's on a quest. He's on a mission to
We
kill
have
his
other
father.
things, bigger things. We're fighting the Fire Lord in 3 days, Toph. No time for field trips. What's going on?
They're looking for the Avatar, but maybe that won't be a big deal. Maybe he'll be easy to find.
Yeah, I thought though that mission with Toph, I was like, oh, it's gonna come full circle. They'll have a moment, but they never do they?
No, maybe
Yeah,
another time, another place.
Yeah.
yeah. However, it seems like Suki and Katara have found him. I mean, what else would anyone think when you see a circle of people gathered around someone shouting "Aang, Aang" over and over? Unfortunately, it's just the actor Aang from the Ember Island Players, your favorite cosplayer.
Avatar State, yip.
She's got fans.
Shout
You
out to
know?
Rachel Dratch.
Awesome.
Oh, fantastic.
And meanwhile, Toph isn't having the bonding experience that she wanted with Zuko either.
I know I shouldn't complain. My parents gave me everything I ever asked for, but they never gave me the one thing that I really wanted, their love. You know what I mean?
Look, I know you had a rough childhood, but we should really focus on finding Aang.
This is the worst field trip ever.
So yeah, nobody's happy at this moment, and
Yeah.
Aang is gone, and we don't know. At this point, do you feel it was like when he finds that island? Did you feel it was like the spirit world?
I definitely thought that at
Yeah,
first.
when we go into Bossing Set, the questions I ask is like, what's going on?
Right, as they're trying to figure out what
So
could have
I'm sure we'll talk,
happened.
because I don't know
Yeah.
what that was either. Because I also was like, no one else saw that island?
Yeah. It's not quite. It's true that it's not like anything we've quite seen before. Like
Right.
The closest thing would be, what we hear Foreshadow Report Sokka say in a few moments, where he's, if you see, or maybe we already saw it, because if you see, when you find those footprints, you think, well, okay, I doubt he got captured.
Right.
I doubt he ran away. We have all the reasons why it's not these other things. It's a pretty reasonable guess
he's in the
that
spirit
it could be a spirit world thing,
Yeah.
except for we are immediately then reminded, like Sokka, we would actually see his body. Like he would just
Totally.
be physically represented still,
Right.
but his spirit
Yeah.
would be gone. Which I actually needed that reminder, because I did think, I remember thinking
Yeah.
like, I
and
think
he's
this is.
bending, and then Aang too's bending in the world. He's like, oh, I can bend here. Wow.
Well, yeah, we do find out in short order.
a lot going on.
They are good at keeping calm though. Like they don't catastrophize. They kind of go, let's think about this. Where do we go? And
That's a good
for me,
point.
I'm watching it going, it's a kids show. It's a kids show. She didn't walk into the ocean because for me it calls back to that episode where he can't sleep and he's losing his mind with
Oh,
the pressure
yeah.
of like having to fight the Fire Lord. And,
Nightmares and daydreams, yeah.
Yes.
yeah, he's almost reaching that point again of like, what do I do? Someone tell me. And
Totally.
yeah.
Did
Totally.
you say
There's
catastrophe?
Yeah, catastrophize.
Catastrophize?
I need that for my Scrabble
you go.
game. I need that for Scrabble.
Catastrophize. Put it in your pocket.
Put it in my pocket.
Put it in your
that
pocket
one-
and bring it out when you need it, my friend.
I'll put that one right in my pocket. So, everyone meets back at the house without Aang, and suddenly they realize Momo's also gone. But contrary to Sokka's theory, Appa did not eat Momo. And Sokka continues crawling into Appa's mouth, and it's not helping anybody right now. But I do enjoy saying that line, which I've written on several pictures.
Yeah.
Get out of the bison's mouth, Sokka!
I was hoping that you had to write that on,
Yeah,
on stuff. It's such a great line.
I've written that a lot. I've
Yeah.
written that a lot. And as they try to figure out the next steps, there's a wonderful series of shots where Sokka, like in the background and out of focus, is kind of like,
Slipping out of
yeah,
Appa's
it's
mouth.
kind of disgusting.
Yeah, it's great.
I'm like, that's a
I
lot of.
love that it's out of focus, and it's like, oh,
I
by
don't
the
like
way,
it.
this is also going on
I don't
as
like
the
it.
conversation.
You know the people with the sloppy dogs,
Uh-huh.
like those bull
Yeah.
mastiffs and
Yeah.
the real. That's what it was reminding me of, and like I don't like that.
It can
What-
get a little
On my
spitty.
clothes.
Oh
I'm like,
yeah, where
your
they just have the
dogs-
ropes of drool.
Yes.
coming down.
No.
Yeah.
They are ropes of
They're
drool.
ropes to drool, and basically Sokka, because Appa's so big, got caught in one of those.
Yeah.
But life
Yeah.
size.
It's messy.
It's
a messy
disgusting.
business. Wait, isn't it right around here that we have that little quick throwaway where, is it Toph? Toph's like,
You did have a secret thing with Haru.
Oh yeah, what was that?
which is a great little moment. Like,
Yeah.
oh, okay.
Kata-
She's
yeah,
trying
Katara,
trying
right?
to start some hot goss.
That was
trying
like
to spill some tea
out of
about
nowhere.
Haru and
So
Katara.
strange.
Katara's like, no,
Wait,
I
hang on.
didn't.
Remind me who Haru is.
in the
From we first meet him in imprisoned. It's him and his dad,
Yeah.
you know, and he's
Came back with a
and then he comes
mustache.
back. Yeah, when he comes back, so he's part of the Earthbenders in the prison. Who he
Oh.
kind of gets himself sent to prison with Katara, so they can break everybody out. And it's one of her best speeches, I think, is when she's like,
Oh, yeah,
"You can
yeah,
all
yeah.
work together to do
Oh,
this." And then Haru comes back and becomes part of the
Oh.
team for Day of Black Sun when we really need more friends to show up. He's part of that, but by then he's grown a little mustache, which is very
A
cute.
wispy
So
mustache.
that would be the first opportunity that Toph would have had to meet him, but he's kind of stays in the picture for a little while. He's
Okay.
They
not
might have
doing
a thing.
too much.
There might be a shit
But
there.
yeah, it's a really fun little drop of just a line that drops in there real quick, gets out again, and you're left to go, what made her think that?
So
yes.
strange.
Okay.
So yeah,
So
it's
with
kind of
that, comic relief of Sokka in that little strange little moment, we cut then to everyone flying in Appa as the sun sets. Apparently they're headed towards the Earth Kingdom, but no one knows except Zuko.
fun. Yeah, he seems to have a plan.
Yeah, no one's like, why are we
But
going
he's
there?
not telling anybody.
Zuko's like, oh, wait.
Which,
Zuko-
by the way, that's a real trope in storytelling that's very funny to me. It's
It's
that
like
thing
no one's-
where it's
yeah.
like, what's going on? And the person goes, there's no time. Come on. So that isn't exposed to the audience either. And you're
Have
like,
you
no,
ever-
but seriously, just one sentence. All you have to give me is
Right.
one sentence telling me what's
Have
happening.
you jumped in the car with your friends
Yeah.
to just go somewhere and didn't ask, why are we going there?
I'm sure I have. But offhand, I can't think of a single time I wouldn't have been like, I'm sorry to be so.
I'm sorry, like, why are we going
I'm
this
sorry
side?
to bother you, but where are we going?
Why are we?
Especially at such a tense moment in the story, at like peak danger. It's like, oh, we're just gonna go on a field trip, and nobody really
Trust
knows
me on
why.
this.
Like, trust me.
It's a good exercise for Zuko to find out that the gang does trust him, though, because
Yeah.
everybody goes along with it.
But you do have friends that aren't very communicative.
Yeah.
But you trust
They're like,
them.
just get in the car,
But you trust,
buddy.
like, I don't know. Let's just go. I was like, why are we going to Mexico?
Uh-oh.
Don't
no.
worry about it.
The story. I don't want to hear this story. This sounds dangerous. This sounds very risky. All right. So meanwhile, in the Fire Nation, we have Ozai and Azula being sort of taken in their palanquins to this very kind of ceremonial moment where they are both ostensibly going to take the fleet of ships to attack Ba Sing Se. But then at the last minute, Ozai kind of doubles back and is like, actually, Azula, I'm going to need you to go ahead and stay here.
Right.
And she throws a bit of a tantrum.
Yes.
You can't treat me like this. You can't treat me like Zuko.
Azula, silence yourself.
But it was my idea to burn everything to the ground. I deserve to be by your side.
Azula!
A tantrum that I myself would not feel comfortable throwing in front of Ozai. I find him very intimidating.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that she either loses her cool to the degree that she doesn't care or feels comfortable enough with her dad to
Yeah.
just be like, this isn't fair.
She goes
you know?
right back into daughter.
She goes into heavy daughter
Heavy
mode.
daughter,
And-
spoiled daughter.
And her worst possible
Favorite
feeling,
daughter.
don't treat me like Zuko.
that
like,
got on my nerves.
Oh.
That got on my last.
Did it? That touched something inside.
I don't like
as
that.
the sibling.
I hate
Yep.
that. Don't treat me like Zuko.
Like, it's okay for you to treat
I
Zuko
hate
like
her.
garbage,
I hate
but you
her.
can't treat me like garbage. Terrible. But he says, you're totally misinterpreting this. This is actually a huge honor. This comes with this responsibility, and it's a responsibility that is going to grow once I'm controlling everything.
Whatever.
Of course, we're going to need someone who's also just a Fire Lord, a simple Fire Lord, and not the Phoenix King, Emperor of the World, and that will be you. And I think it's, and one of the things that I love about this is the moment where Azula has to hear herself or someone say the words Fire Lord Azula. I just think that's so funny because, you know, it's that thing where you're like I remember the first episode of Korra I ever recorded, I made Andrea Romano say we're moving on to the scene with Janet Varney and J.K. Simmons because I needed to hear our two names together. And that's what happens. He's like, you will be Fire Lord. And she's like, Fire Lord Azula. Like, I need
like
to
the
have those
sound of
words
that.
in my mouth. I need to hear them with my evil ears. But she does it.
It
And
was
she's
horrible.
very
It was
excited.
horrible.
Very excited.
Annoying.
Yeah.
It's very smooth of Ozai, isn't it? Because he demotes her, but he makes her feel like she's got a huge promotion.
It's
Yeah.
just
That's a good point.
He's a good
Phoenix
politician
King?
in that moment.
Yeah, he is a
you
good
have to be a
politician.
Phoenix King.
Yeah. And then he's, by the way, not only is going to be the Phoenix King, he's had time to design a whole new outfit, his armor.
Logo,
he's got
new
armor, he's
logo.
got a new logo,
New
he's got
logo?
banners that are flapping up one at a time.
Fire
the Phoenix.
blowing
This
out
is
the
not
side.
good. This is
Yeah.
not good, people.
That was a funny moment because it's like he's just out the door casual. Oh no, don't worry, you're gonna be the Fire Lord and I'm gonna be Phoenix King. And as you say, he has the whole regalia.
He's like-
he has the embroidery, everything.
It's like a surprise
Such a
party.
funny
Everyone's
moment.
been
Yeah.
secretly
can't-
holding up the banner to cover up the
No
other
one
banner.
can say that the Fire Nation doesn't go hard.
They're very theatrical. They're very presentational, very grandiose. There's a lot of pomp and circumstance.
Not only are we good benders and powerful people, we're also very good tailors and
I know, that
seamstresses.
armor is impressive.
Amazing seamstresses. You saw that
the clothes
fabric?
and the armor,
Amazing.
they're all very impressive. I don't disagree. So let's go back to Team Avatar, who are implementing this new plan. This one involves our old friend who's not really that much of a friend. Of course, we're talking about June the bounty hunter. And then we just see her for a moment because then we go and check in with Aang and Momo. And there they are. Aang is awakening to being on this island in the middle of the ocean. It wasn't a dream at all. He is somewhere but doesn't know where. And that is the end of the episode.
Friends, are you a frequent traveler who enjoys a comfortable, dependable yet loose-fitting shoe? Enjoy all the world has to offer on and off your feet with Western Dragon sandals. They'll be with you for all of life's journeys, unless you need to leave one behind for some reason. And if that is the case, be assured that Western Dragon sandals will preserve your unique scent, should that prove helpful. Western Dragon sandals. They're a step in the right direction.
So they reveal that they're going to see June. Then we don't even see anything past that. We don't know what Zuko's plan is. We can sort of imagine what it might be because we know who June is. But then here we are with Aang on the island. And I think this is, we know we're doing 2 episodes.
Right.
I think seeing Aang and Momo on the island, we should take a moment. We should take a moment.
A moment?
We should take a Momo moment. So let's do that. And then come back and get into the second one.
Just see how smart Zuko actually is. Get June. Zuko, you're such a brilliant dude.
Not bad.
Sokka don't have all the brains.
All right, listen. Don't try to oust Sokka from the position of planner. You got enough going on.
I'm just saying.
We'll be right back.
All right, Cabbage Heads, we're back for part 2, The Old Masters, which was written by Aaron Ehas and directed by Giancarlo Volpe. So, the gang's at an Earth Kingdom tavern where they've tracked down June, who pretty immediately tosses out a Zutara reference.
Yeah, you
Much
saw
to
that?
their
I saw that.
embarrassment.
Clocked that.
I love that. I don't know. We talked about this, I think, but you guys, I love a Zutara reference.
I know,
I
me
just,
too.
I know.
I'm just
Zutara
love to see how the
forever.
characters react to that because it's very telling.
They're
And
Like,
embarrassed.
the writers go pretty heavy on Zutara in the second half of book 3. I'm just saying.
There was probably there's votes for either way.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
yeah.
But we all know.
and
how
your vote, Dante.
Zutara forever.
Oh, yeah, of course. We even know the t-shirt. Well, anyway, so the writers get that out of their system.
Zutara. Exactly.
Anyway, it's time for June to find the Avatar again with the help of her Shirshu Nyla, who's hanging with Appa outside. But when Nyla tries to use his super smelling to find Aang, he can only lie down and cover his nose. And he has a little freak out. He does that thing where cats where they roll around in the sun and
Yeah.
show their belly to the sky. And yeah.
Well, what does that mean?
It means your friend's gone.
We know he's gone. That's why we're trying to find him.
No, I mean he's gone. He doesn't exist.
Which is so weird, which doesn't really explain what this island is, but it gives me a lot of questions.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
More confusing than ever.
He's like, he's
More
not
confusing
dead.
than
He's
ever.
not here. He's not in the spirit world.
Yeah,
He's just
it's like, sorry, he
Which is
doesn't exist at all.
like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
What a weird island.
Yeah.
But he does exist.
What does that mean?
Yeah.
I'd still confused a little bit. I've watched the episode again, and I'm still a little confused.
Agree.
It's okay. Because he does exist.
Yeah.
And we're back with Aang and Momo, who are trying to figure out what's going on. They're not in the spirit world because he can still bend. But before we can find out more, we're back with June and the gang. And Zuko has a new idea. And June, I love June because she has that one eye. She's like one of those girls that just got
because
the
she got
bangs.
the hair, the length of hair.
All she got is the
Everyone-
one eye.
Yeah.
Can y'all see through your hair like that?
No, and that's one of my biggest, not to be like too picky, but I find it difficult. What takes me out of the suspension of disbelief in an action movie is when any character has so much hair over their eyes or eye.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, the first thing you would do would be pull your hair back out of your face.
There's some girls that
it's
rock
not good
that
when
one.
you can't see out
Some
of one
girls
eye.
rock that one eye look. I
Yeah.
don't know. It's I don't know.
I think most girls go through that phase in adolescence where they're like, oh yeah, my face looks better with hair all over it. But then you don't commit to that for the rest of your life. That's
No.
why June is like unusual. But
Yeah,
yeah,
that's a good
she's
point.
unusual in many ways.
June's unusual
Also
in
true.
many, many ways. And so we're with June and the gang. And so Zuko has a new idea. They'll send June to find Uncle Iroh.
Boom.
It's great. And
Who saw that coming?
I mean, Zuko did. Zuko had an artifact of his. He had it. A smelly thing. And it turns
Where
out
has he been holding on to that?
it didn't look.
Just in his
it
stuff?
looked ripe too. It looked real
Yeah,
ripe.
it had little stink lines coming
yeah,
out.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it turns out that Uncle Iroh's behind the broken walls of Ba Sing Se.
Yeah.
And they're gonna camp out here for a fresh start in the morning, which sends us back to Aang and Momo. And now we're with Aang's even more confused than ever. He calls on Avatar Roku for guidance, and Roku confirms that not only he but all the avatars are always inside of Aang when he needs wisdom, which is very cool.
Yeah.
It's like very cool. So he is like an encyclopedia of his, like he has the iPhone in his head.
That's
Of
right.
lives. Yeah.
It
How
must
would
be-
you get anything done with that many people?
It's
in your head?
great. I know,
Yeah,
but
you
they're
gotta
all
be able to
you.
code them.
They're all you,
True.
right? So you
Yeah.
have the history of the world
Yeah.
up till now,
Yeah.
and you've saved the world so many times. So you just got to do it again. So we're like, how did we do it last time?
Yeah.
Let's just do it again.
And hope that you like the answer, right? But anyway.
Yeah, it's true. So it must be great to have such an extraordinary group of people all together in one place,
Well,
don't you?
Dante,
think?
it's so funny you would say that about having a favorite group of people all together, because that, my friend, is exactly what the rest of the gang is experiencing in the next scene. I mean, I'm talking, they wake up to Piandao. They wake up to Zhang Zhang. There's Paku. There's Boomy. They're all together. What in the White Lotus is going on here? But we zip back to Aang and Roku as Roku tells Aang he needs to be more decisive. More like this episode needs to be more decisive because we're going back and forth. We can't keep track of
love
what's
the back
going on.
and
We're all
forth.
over the place.
I love
Now
it.
we're back to Katara greeting their friends, one of whom apparently is her new Gramp.
I know. Paku hooked up with Gram Gram.
Paku went back to Gran and said, hey, I've never stopped thinking about you.
Right.
You still had here was this necklace that I saw. You know, imagine
He
that
got a
reunion.
new necklace. He said they got a new necklace together.
And I got to tell you something. My Grammy did find love when my grandfather passed
What?
away. A couple of years later, when my Grammy was like 81, she reconnected with an old flame from her youth, and they got married, and they like had a
Grammy
she had a whole
Varney?
second Grammy Varney had a whole like
Oh, my
love
goodness.
second life with this wonderful man. So
Shout out to
that's
Grammy.
like Paco and Gran.
I will
That
say
is amazing.
I love that for Grammy. I do
Yeah.
love for Gram Gram. I'm still not 100% hot on Paku.
I know. You remember I took it pretty hard. I mean, I
I'm
did not
not
take
into
it
Paku
easy on
that
him. We were
much.
talking about redemption. I know he's in the White Lotus. I still was
He's
like,
still a jerk.
he still
this
seems
scene,
sexist to
this
me.
scene, he's still a little bit of a jerk.
He's a little bit of a jerk. He's just because somebody wants what's best for the world doesn't mean that they're a perfect person. And
I had to talk to
Paku
Gram
is-
Gram. I was like, Gram, you know, you could do better. You could do better.
Good old Gramp. But so how are all of these people together in one place? We know why.
I
Because
know
it's
why.
the Order of the White Lotus.
We're all part of the same ancient secret society, a group that transcends the divisions of the four nations.
The Order of the White Lotus.
That's the one.
The White Lotus has always been about philosophy and beauty and truth. But about a month ago, a call went out that we were needed for something important.
It came from a Grand Lotus, your uncle, Iroh of the Fire Nation.
They're like an old boy band.
They're like an old boy band. They got back together.
They got back together.
to go on tour.
It's like NSYNC, Backstreet Boys, the Order of the White Lotus. They look like they're ready to sing
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd be into that.
and dance.
A little part of me goes, you guys couldn't have come along a bit earlier
I know.
when we needed this.
They're off
dose of
doing their
wisdom.
own thing. They are doing their own thing.
The Order of the White Lotus works in mysterious ways.
Fair.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know. They're not like the Avengers. They don't show up
Right.
like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're not on
They're
call.
they're more behind the scenes. Maybe they're
the
more behind the
scenes.
scenes.
They're like the Agents
Yes,
of S.H.I.E.L.D. We
But
don't
I
know.
hear you, Evie. I hear you.
And they have that beautiful ethos, don't they, where they say their interests are philosophy, beauty, truth. So they're kind of like above everything else. They're not caught up in the day-to-day drama
Sounds
of life.
like
Yeah.
La Boheme a little bit. Beauty,
Yes,
truth.
it
There you
does.
go.
Moulin Rouge.
Right,
Yeah.
Moulin Rouge,
Yeah.
these guys.
Yeah.
They are getting a
Yeah.
little long in the tooth. They need some younger members to join.
It probably wouldn't hurt. It probably wouldn't hurt.
Anyway, it's nice to see them at last. Good.
Indeed.
Yes.
Meanwhile, Aang now summons Kyoshi for her wisdom. He's still trying all his past selves to
Yeah.
get the answer he
Yes.
wants, but he's
Mhm.
not really getting it. She tells him that only justice will bring peace,
Of course.
which
Kyoshi
wasn't
ain't the one. Kyoshi ain't the one
No.
to ask. Kyoshi has no... She's not going to tell you to stop.
She can be ruthless.
and he knew that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. He's like, I wish I knew I shouldn't have asked Kyoshi.
No, I wouldn't ask Kyoshi
Yeah.
nothing.
But I
She's
love
a-
what you said, Ivana, because I didn't think of it as the way that you just put it is so perfect. It's like the kid who doesn't get the answer he wants. So he's like, maybe if I ask my dad, he'll say something
Yeah.
different. Maybe if I ask my grandma, she'll say something different. Like at some
Yeah.
point, I'm sure someone will give me the answer I'm looking for. I hadn't thought about it that way. So I'm
That's
so glad you
true.
said that.
Skip
Or
Kyoshi,
like when
though.
you have a magic 8-ball and you don't like the answer, so you keep shaking it and you go, "Oh, this is probably broken. Oh, I didn't really mean it that time."
Right.
You just
Exactly.
keep
I
going
don't
back
have to
it.
take this advice.
Yeah, yeah.
That's so true.
So then we flip back to Boomy and Sokka to find out how Boomy escaped from prison. Turns out he was pretty busy himself. On the day of Black Sun, he single-handedly takes back Omashu, like the goat he is.
Greatest
He
of all
is the goat. He's the
time.
greatest of all time.
Hey.
He's so good.
And then we're back to Aang, who is now called upon Avatar Karuk for wisdom. We hear more about how Ko, the face stealer, took the woman he loved, and Karuk gives Aang a really important piece of advice.
Aang, you must actively shape your own destiny and the destiny of the world.
It is interesting also to see an Avatar like heartbroken.
I know.
You know.
His story is
really sad.
Well, let's not forget
Fascinating.
Evie. We're talking an Avatar over here, so I mean,
I hate when you say that.
you know what I'm saying? There's an Avatar in our presence.
But I also love that. I will say I love that Karuk says there was peace and good times. That's such a that's such a surfer thing. Like,
I
hey,
know.
good times, bro.
Oh, yeah.
Peace and good times.
Karuk's a
Good
beach
times
bum.
for everybody.
He's a waterbender. Come
yeah,
on,
I
let's
loved
go.
it. I absolutely loved it. It just sort of
But
floats
that's
over that.
sad
But it's
that
great.
his thing of going with the flow, he feels that was the thing that lost him his love.
I know.
It's really quite sad.
I know.
Oh, I find Ko just the creepiest thing that
No.
anyone's ever imagined. I'm sure we talked about
Mm-mm.
this last time, but
No, Ko
every
is-
now and then I just think of him and I just go, "What? Why did someone make that up? It's
Why-
awful."
Ko, why are you out there stealing faces?
So creepy.
Yeah.
Why are you out there stealing
So
faces?
creepy.
Face.
What's wrong
Take
with
the whole
you?
Yeah.
thing.
Stop
Not just a
stealing
face.
people's faces.
That's I'm
Yeah.
sure for many of us who watch Game of Thrones, when that element came into play, it
Oh,
was like,
yeah.
I don't need a Ko in
Oh,
another show.
yeah.
I don't need
Yeah.
that. That's
Yep.
super scary.
I'm not into face stealers.
You're not into face stealers. Definitive declarative statement
not
has been
into
made
it.
right now.
Not-
Dante Bosco is not into face stealers. You heard it here on Braving the Elements. That is canon.
Yeah, you
He's
face
not into face
you
stealers.
face stealers. Stay away from me.
And he's also not into Hama, but we know that.
How-
We know he's not into Hama. He's scared of Hama.
Wait, what's that? Oh,
Understandably.
Hama? Oh,
the bloodbender. Yeah.
Oh, that she's your nightmare,
Oh,
really?
you can steal Hama's
Wow.
face.
I bet you.
You
we-
can still
we don't
have a
have-
face.
We don't have time for this conversation, but I bet you Evie
Sorry.
can relate to my compassion for Hama. Anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
There we go.
100%.
That's all I needed here.
Now let's check back in with Zuko as he gets ready to see his uncle after all of this time. This is a very big moment. We don't know how it's going to go. In fact, it's such a big moment that Zuko kind of freaks out and doesn't know if he can even do it.
Yeah.
And then Katara gives him a little speech about hope, and that does
Yeah.
the trick.
Zuko, you're sorry for what you did, right?
More sorry than I've been about anything in my entire life.
Then he'll forgive you. He will.
What did you guys think in this moment? What did you think? Did you expect he was going to like scream at him, slap him? What did you want? What did you expect?
So emotional.
Oh, before like when Zuko does go in.
Yeah.
He's snoring.
It's definitely a little bit of a anticlimax when he goes in and he's like
snoring.
so ready, he's geared himself up, and then Iroh's just fast asleep. You're like, well, this
Yeah.
isn't how I.
I know. I was feeling
pictured
something.
it.
I'm like, oh, he's snoring.
Like
But
something's gonna happen. No, he's fast asleep, and then you just let him sleep, which is very respectful
what are
and
you gonna
sweet.
do?
Yeah,
His uncle.
he's snoring
Wake
up a
the
storm.
dragon. No.
Don't wake the. Well, that's a good point. That's a good point.
Dante, did you feel, because he the way Zuko's like, oh, he's gonna be so angry, he's gonna hate me, he's gonna be
Yeah.
mad at me.
Yeah.
Ira's one of those characters I'm like, I find it hard to imagine him really, really angry.
I know,
But
But you know when you did someone wrong, you know in your heart you did the wrong thing. It's still hard, you know. I would think Jan's one of the nicest people I know, but if I did something that I think was like mean to her or something, even though I don't think she would yell at me, I would be very reluctant to go
absolutely
face her.
Right.
That's right. It's all
'Cause
worked. All of my planning and plotting has worked.
I haven't done anything,
He
any
knows
transgressions
place.
against her, but if I had a transgression against her, even though I think she's one of the nicest people ever, I would still feel a little
That makes
reluctance.
sense.
And he does.
Yes.
I mean, don't they have kind of a confrontation where Iroh raises his voice. He is like frustrated and,
Yeah. There was a lot.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah. And the way he iced him out when he was in prison. Yeah,
Yeah.
he can make
and
himself.
remember
his
how,
feelings heard.
actor Zuko just pushed Iroh to the floor and says, I hate you.
I hate you for all time. You
For
smell
all time.
and I
You
hate
smell
you for
and
all
I hate
time.
you for all time.
That's right. That's right. But also, too, I would say, you know that thing where sometimes the person who did the thing can only imagine the other person
Right.
reacting as they might react.
Yeah.
So Zuko is so familiar with the feeling of being angry or the feeling of being betrayed or feeling frustrated and upset that like he's projecting
feeling
his
of being
own feelings
abused.
about himself. Yeah.
Yeah.
Onto Iroh and not really necessarily seeing Iroh with clear eyes. He's thinking more
Aw.
like, well, this is how I would feel if I were him, or, you know, this is what I deserve.
Right.
And so you get so caught
Yeah.
up in your own vision of that you need someone like Katara and eventually someone
Yeah.
like Iroh to say, this isn't that, you know?
Right. Which we're going to get to. Which we're going to get
Which we'll
to.
get to.
It's heavy. It's heavy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now we get back to Aang, who now has a chat with Avatar Yang Chen about being peaceful and spiritual. Yang Chen certainly understands, you know, she's an air nomad.
Yeah. If you're going to get the answer you want, this is probably your best chance.
Right. And I recently read the Yang Chen book, so I was like, oh, it's good to see Yang Chen.
Yeah.
And I thought for a second Yang Chen would be like, yeah, you're right. We're air nomads.
Mhm.
Like, don't kill Ozai. But however, also,
Yeah.
she pretty much says without saying it in like black and white, kill him.
I mean,
Gotta
she's
kill
like,
him.
this is bigger than you, which
Yeah.
is fair. That's a fair thing to say, you know?
Sometimes you gotta do it. So
Mm-hmm.
I thought it looks like Aang's gonna have to kill Ozai. And now we're back at the camp, and Zuko gets the chance to speak to Iroh from the heart. And Varney, you ready for it? Get your tissues
I
ready.
don't know if I
'cause
am
this
ready
is
for this.
Uncle, I know you must have mixed feelings about seeing me. But I want you to know, I am so sorry, Uncle. I am so sorry and ashamed of what I did. I don't know how I can ever make it up to you, but How can you forgive me so easily? I thought you would be furious with me.
I was never angry with you. I was sad because I was afraid you lost your way.
I did lose my way.
But you found it again. And you did it by yourself. And I'm so happy you found your way here.
everybody ready to keep going?
Mm,
Barney,
give
you
me
ready?
1
That's
minute.
so.
Give me 1 second. That's so good.
When he hugs him, out, like
Mm-mm.
you think like it, you know that happens. It just happens. It just, you know, as an audience member, because it's so weird how he's like, Zuko's trying to apologize, and then like Iroh just grabs him.
Yeah.
As an, you feel like Iroh grabbed you and
Yeah.
gave you a hug in that moment.
Yeah,
like, I don't even talk.
absolutely. Oh, that's great. And also, I will say, I've had the pleasure of hearing Greg say those words.
Yeah.
Greg Baldwin say those words, kind of honoring Mako at conventions, and same thing happens. Like when he brings that scene up in front of a live audience, I just start crying, and then I'm really mad at Greg Baldwin. Like, how dare you? How dare you bring me back to that? All right.
So now we see that the island Aang and Momo are on is moving, and it's much, much more than an island.
Yeah. Yeah. And then back at the White Lotus camp, Zuko and the gang plead for Iroh to join them, which makes sense, right? You would say, like, well, we've got you now. You got to help us fight against the Father Lord. I mean, the Fire Lord.
Fire Lord.
Right?
Exactly.
But Iroh says it can only be the Avatar who defeats Ozai. For the good of the world, Aang needs to be the person who stops Ozai. And not only that, but he doesn't want to be the new Fire Lord. Iroh's like, no. This is not the time and place for me to move into that position. But that's a fair thing for Zuko to imagine happening. But no, he actually says it has to be someone who really, a new mind, an idealist, someone who knows the true value of honor.
Yeah.
Zuko, we knew your obsession with honor was going to pay off someday.
I know.
It finally paid off. And then we have this beautiful moment where it's revealed that Iroh has had this vision about taking Ba Sing Se, and that he has now realized there are different ways to interpret visions if you have them. So it might not mean what you think it
So
means. He
good.
realizes, yes, I am supposed to take Ba Sing Se back
from
from
the-
Ozai
Right.
so that it can be free, which is a beautiful idea. And it just goes back to the idea of like, what is destiny? What is the destiny you make for yourself?
Right.
And those things have to be interplaying with each other at all times, which is kind of what Crook says too. You can't just be passive. Some things are destined,
Right.
but you're shaping it along the way. So he's going to do that. Now it's time for everyone to take next steps Katara and Zuko will face Azula. Sokka, Suki, and Toph will take an eel hound, love an eel hound, to intercept the airship fleet to help save Ba Sing Se.
Meanwhile, what about Aang and Momo? They've been gone for a little while.
Yeah.
And their island is moving. And now, well, Aang is face to face with a lion turtle. What will this ancient holy creature have to say about Aang's conundrum?
The true mind can weather all the lies and illusions without being lost. The true heart can tough the poison of hatred without being harmed. Since beginningless time, darkness thrives in the void, but always yields to purifying light.
These lion turtle quotes. Every time I watch this episode, I'm like, oh my god, I gotta write that down. It's so
I know.
deep.
It's
so
so
amazing.
Very sageful, these lion turtles.
So sageful. And I love that they've blended like the ancientness, what's the word? The agedness of a turtle with the like leadership of a lion. Like that is one formidable creature.
Beautiful.
I feel.
Yeah.
The lion turtle then touches Aang's arrow, and there's a blast of green light. They part ways, with the lion turtle telling Aang he will come. Who is he? Ozai? Who we see getting ready to take over the world? Or the comet, which seems to be hurtling towards the planet? We don't know. Aang doesn't know. He just has to trust his inner knowing, trust the lion turtle, and sit on this rock and wait. And that is the end of part 2 of Sozin's Comet.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about our hybrid animals. I want to shout out Zuko mentioning snail sloths at the beginning of the episode. He's not necessarily speaking of them in a good light. He feels they're very slow. It sounds like they would be if they're snail sloths. That's really, nobody's getting the fast pace if you're getting a snail sloth. But I don't know if we've ever actually seen any in the series.
I don't even want to
And I would
see
love
one.
to, no, I would love to see a snail sloth. If
You know-
somebody
Yeah, me
wants to
too.
draw a snail sloth for Evie and me, I bet
do
Dante
it.
will want to see it
Don't
once
do
it's
it.
done. Please
someone wants
feel
to
free to
cosplay
send
as a
it.
snail
send
A
it
sloth.
to
sloth
us.
by itself is a strange looking animal, but if you make it as slimy, like as big as a snail or a slug, that's not cool.
I bet it's going to be cute. I'm excited.
But can you just like imagine the slowness of that creature? Like, what a rebellious act to be that slow in our fast-paced world.
Right.
I just love
love
anything that
it.
takes its time and doesn't care what anyone else says.
You're
It's
right.
great.
I love it. I just said I love it like I was a slow sloth, snail sloth. I didn't even mean to. We, of course, have Appa and Momo. We have Nyla, who we see again. We have an eel hound. And then, of course, we have the legendary lion turtle. Massive respect to the giant lion
Whenever
turtle.
the lion turtle comes, it wins. That's it.
Yeah.
You got to show up for that lion
I
turtle.
gotta
Hey.
lion turtle.
Do you think there's just one lion turtle?
I don't know.
I think there's more than one.
We saw one
Yeah.
early in the show. We saw one
I
early
think
in the
maybe
show.
there's more. I think maybe there are these ancient creatures that exist.
There's got to be more because this particular lion turtle we meet on this episode is humongous.
Yeah, he's very large.
It's larger than any other lion turtle I've ever seen. He's an island.
He's
He must be lonely, but he has such deep thoughts that maybe he's all right.
He's
Yeah.
probably functioning
connected
another
on a deep
plane-
way to the
another
spirit
plane,
world
yeah.
and to,
He's in
Yeah.
another
to
plane
all
of
living
existence.
things.
And-
Yeah.
He does have a lot of things living on his back, so
Well, that's
yeah,
true. He's never.
that's-
He's
But
got a
wait,
whole.
do you know when he says his wisdom? Do you have to like rewind the episode like 5 times and
Oh, yeah.
think about it? Yeah.
Yes.
Like, where does that come from? I honestly, if you said to me, yes, the writers of the show, they met like a shaman in the woods, or they actually met some sort of turtle and it gave this advice, I would believe that more than they made this up. Like,
Yeah,
it's
they were
so
just in a writer's
incredible.
room. They're like, I don't know. What if we say fear and
Unbendable bender,
Somebody,
blah,
I
blah,
don't know
blah.
who
Yeah.
wrote these lines, but they're very sageful.
It's probably Tim Hedrick. Anyway, no, but it's not because we know that Mike wrote these.
Mike wrote
that.
That makes sense.
Mike.
So it sounds like, and
Where are you getting this from,
Sure,
Mike?
Mike.
Please lead a
Mike's a
country.
bit of a lion turtle himself.
Mike
Mike's
is
a bit
definitely
of a lion turtle himself.
He's definitely a lion turtle.
Wow.
Let's talk about most valuable bending and non-bending of the episodes. I think we're gonna have to choose one across the two since this is just one of our episodes. But if we feel like we have to break it up,
Non-bending is June. I mean, not June, but Nyla.
what about that hug? What about that crushing
I mean,
hug that Iroh
hug.
gives
The hug is great.
to Zuko?
But he couldn't even get to the hug if Nyla didn't smell him out.
Nyla smelled him out.
Right?
You could say that the real winner of the most valuable non-bending was the sweaty, stinky sandal.
Yeah.
If you're going to go down that road. All right. Most valuable bending of the episode. Ooh, so much happens in this episode. Who is it? What is it? Because it's not necessarily, when all said and done, an episode about bending.
Bending, yeah. There's not a lot
it's
of
almost like
bending going on.
I was going to say Zuko kind of getting him up and running, but it's really Zuko telling him that information that changes that.
Right. There's not a lot of bending in this episode.
Yeah.
It's not about bending.
You're so right. I can't think. Now
Oh,
I
wait,
can't.
the sandcastle.
Listen. I will give it up for that bossing. Say.
Very good. I'll take that.
I want to see that. I love miniatures. Good job, Toph.
Well, then, of course, the tear bending by Uncle Iroh on Zuko. Tear bending.
Yeah, but that
big time tear
technically
bending.
goes into
big time tear
non-bending.
bending. That's non-bending.
Yeah. Non-bending. More non-bending stuff. There's a lot of really important conversations happening. We have, obviously, yes, you're right, Nyla being able to sniff out Uncle Iroh, which is huge. And also, had Aang not gotten on to the Lion Turtle Island, there wouldn't have been a reason to call June, which maybe wouldn't have meant that Dante, I love when I do that Zuko would not have had the idea to seek out Iroh in that moment. So talk about important destiny stuff.
That's
great. That's a
great.
big deal.
I know.
I'm going to give it up to the joint reunion of Zuko and Iroh as a most valuable non-bending moment. It's a shared moment of them two coming back together. What do you guys think about that?
I love it. Fire Nation reunion.
Such a great moment in the show.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
and it's such a powerful moment of growth for Zuko because he's only expected abuse and unkindness all his life from father figures, and it's that's such a healing moment for him to have that, and it's almost like that's going to be too painful for him because he just has to accept love. He just has to
I think it's one of the biggest moments in the whole series.
This is why we bring in
exactly.
Ivana Lynch. These moments, these Lion Turtle moments.
You're the Lion Turtle, exactly.
Are why we bring
I
Evie
aspire.
in. Evie, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Oh,
God, it was
such
such
a pleasure.
delight, and you've set me back on another Avatar marathon. I'm just hurtling through them again, and I'm delighted to be.
It's our job. It's what
I just
we do.
gain so much every single time I rewatch. So thank you for your work.
Thank you so much. Always, it's such a pleasure to have you here. Always is a great guest.
Anything you want people to check out, places to find you, anything like that?
No, I'll see you on the next one.
See you on the next one.
We're coming back for you. Don't you even worry.
You bring some knit sweaters or socks or hats or
Oh, yeah,
whatever
we'll
you're
take
knitting. Whatever
Mhm.
you're knitting, we want to Fire Nation.
Okay,
guys. Thank
we
you.
can just knit together. Yeah,
I'm
that'd
in.
be fun. Thank you guys. Thank you.
Thanks,
and good luck
everybody.
with your last one.
Thank you. Did you know you can hear bonus episodes of our award-winning podcast?
Subscribe to Avatar Braving the Elements Premium on Apple Podcasts for early access, exclusive content, and ad-free episodes.
I'm so excited!